Hello, I'm Professor Dragonster, a title I have just conferred upon myself. And as in Titan Quest, I mention Hercules or Heracles, which is the actually Hellenic version of it. I just thought that I'd talk to you about what the 12 labours of Hercules actually were. What happened was he was driven mad by Hera, Hercules was, and he killed his 6 sons and his wife. Recovering from that, the madness, and seeking forgiveness and repentance and penance and everything, he went to the oracle at Delphi, the oracle to his father Zeus, where he was told to go and serve a king called Eurystheus for 12 years and do whatever labours he was asked to do. When he arrived, Eurystheus commanded Hercules to perform 10 great tasks. Yes, it was originally 10, it ended up being 12. We will get to that. The first thing he was sent to do was to kill the man-eating Nemean lion. Unfortunately, the lion's hide was impenetrable. It was tough, very tough. And so Hercules put his hands around the lion's neck and strangled it to death. And then using its claw, he skinned it. And a lot of what we see of Hercules is him wearing a lion's head and a lion's skin as a cloak. And that was the Nemean lion's skin. And he would use that, and that was great armour. After he killed the lion, Eurystheus sent him to kill the Hydra. The Hydra who we all know you cut off one head and two grow back. And he kept doing this and it just wouldn't die. And his nephew Iolaus, who was with him, came up with the idea that maybe if you burnt the stump of the neck before the heads grew back, the two heads grew out of it, that maybe it would work. So they tried that and it worked. The Hydra's heads did not grow. And so they get round and they beheaded it completely. When he returned, he was told to go and capture the golden hind of Artemis, the deer of Artemis. And he captured it. He trapped it in a net. And Artemis was a little upset by that because this was her special animal. Hercules told her what was going on, and she said, okay, you can take it to Eurystheus, but you must return it. So Hercules went back to Eurystheus, who commanded it be made part of his menagerie, his zoo, as it were. And Hercules said, well, you come out of the city, because he wasn't allowed to go in, because Eurystheus was afraid of him. You come out, and I will give you the deer, I'll give you the hind. And the king's servants went out. And he said, no, the king himself must come out. So he went out and Hercules let it go. And as it ran off, the king looked at him and he said, I let it go for you to grab. It is not my fault that you're too slow. He was a bit upset, was the king. So Eurystheus sent him to capture the Erymanthian boar. A dangerous boar, by all accounts. So, Hercules went to Prometheus, and he slew the eagle who was eating his liver, possibly on some fava beans with a nice Chianti, not mentioned in the Greek legend. And when he had done that, Prometheus told him that the best way to defeat the boar was to drive it into thick snow so that it couldn't run. Hercules did so, and he captured the boar and took it back to Eurystheus, who was absolutely afraid of the boar and had thought, as with the other labours, that it might kill Hercules. It did not do so, alas. Panicking and afraid, Eurystheus sent him to clean the Augean stables. Now, the animals that lived in the Augean stables were immortal, were incredibly healthy, ate a lot, and therefore, yes, you can guess. The stables, not only due to that, but had not been cleaned in over 30 years, and there were over 1,000 cattle that lived there. Hercules broke down the walls in the some of the walls in the stable, and redirected the rivers Alpheus and Peneus to clean it away. And having succeeded at doing it in one day, which was part of the labour, he succeeded and went back to Eurystheus. Eurystheus sent him on then to take on the Stymphalian birds, man-eating birds that lived in a distant swamp. The swamp was so marshy there was no way to travel into the swamp. It was too thick to take a boat through, but not solid enough to walk upon. Hercules went to the edge, and using a rattle he had been given by the god Hephaestus, scared the birds up into the air. Using arrows that he had poisoned with the blood of the Hydra, he managed to kill most of the birds, but the rest flew away to be encountered later by Jason and his Argonauts. He went back to Eurystheus, with one of his companions informing him of Hercules' task, and having completed it. So the king sent Hercules off to Crete to deal with the Cretan bull. King Minos, who was king of Knossos and Crete at the time, was very happy for it to be dealt with. It was destroying crops and destroying walls. Hercules snuck up behind the boar, and as he had with the lion, put his hands around the neck and started to choke it and throttle it. Before it was killed, as he was only trying to capture it. So he captured the boar, took it back, and Eurystheus hid in a bronze pot so that he wouldn't have to meet Hercules. And they let it go. Eurystheus then sent him to bring back the mares of Diomedes. And why would these 4 horses be such a problem? Well, they were very wild, they were very mad because they ate human flesh. They were called Padogros, Lampon, Xanthos, and Danos, which means the fast, the shining, the blonde, and the terrible, respectively. Having got them from Diomedes, who was threatening Hercules with death, and in fact one night snuck into his camp and fed Hercules' companion to the horses, thinking it was Hercules. Hercules then found him and fed Diomedes to the horses himself. They went back, and having managed to calm the horses, he handed them to Eurystheus, who, according to legend, let them roam around Argos. Having done this, Eurystheus then decides to send Hercules to go to the land of the Amazons and bring back Hippolyta's girdle, her belt. Hercules went, and got on very well with Hippolyta and the Amazons. And then Hera herself came down and spoke to the Amazons, informing them that he didn't just want the belt of Hippolyta, the girdle of Hippolyta, but he wanted to kidnap her so that he could conquer the Amazons. Alarmed, they gathered their army to throw this invader, this interloper, from their land, and seeing this, Hercules thought that Hippolyta was planning treachery against him to kill him and hand him over to Hera. So he killed her, took her belt, and ran, returning to Eurystheus, who was surprised that he had survived. So he sent him to go and bring him the livestock of Geryon. Geryon was, for the most part, a man. From the waist down he was. From the waist up he was 3 men. 3 torsos, 3 heads, 6 arms. When Hercules met him, he had 3 helmets on. He had 3 breastplates on. He was carrying 3 spears and 3 shields, ready for a fight. Hercules used again the arrows dipped in the blood of the Hydra, and used them to kill Geryon right through the space in his helmet. Geryon was dead, and Hercules took the cattle back to Eurystheus. And this was the end of his 10 labours. And then Eurystheus pointed out that the Hydra had not been killed solely by Hercules, but in fact, he had needed the help of Iolaus. And he claimed at the Augean stables, due to the fact that Hercules didn't actually clean it on his own, he instead used the rivers Alpheus and Peneus, that they did not count. So he said, "Those 2 did not count. I will give you 2 more, and you may do these as you wish. You must get the golden apples of the Hesperides." Hercules went. Unfortunately, there was no way for him to get into the garden of the Hesperides to get the apples. Hercules went to Atlas, the Titan who had been punished with having to hold the heavens aloft, the heavens, keep them separate from the earth. And Hercules asked him to get the golden apples, which he did so, and came back, and Atlas, rejoicing in his new freedom from having to carry such a weight, offered to take them to Eurystheus himself. And Hercules said, "I will let you do so, but I need to move. I need to correct my position so it's more comfortable with my back and my cloak." So Atlas took the burden back on so Hercules could readjust his cloak, and then Hercules grabbed the apples and legged it. What a great hero. As such, with Eurystheus running out of ways to kill Hercules, he gave him one final task, one that he would not be able to succeed on: to bring back the 3-headed guard dog of Hades, Cerberus himself. Hercules went down, and having got past Charon, the boatman to the land of the dead, he went to Hades and asked that he could take Cerberus back to the service to Eurystheus. Hades agreed on one condition: that Hercules overpower the beast so that he would deserve the right of taking it, but without using any weapons. Hercules did so, threw Cerberus over his shoulder, and went back through the caverns in the Peloponnese, taking it to Eurystheus. The king fled again back into his little bronze vase, as Hercules threw Cerberus onto the floor of the throne room, finally leaving and having succeeded at his 10 or 12 labours.